What if I told you that a small silver coin tucked inside an old drawer could change your life forever? What if the one dime you carry every day could be worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars? What if behind those tiny dates and faded edges lies a secret story of American history that only the rarest collectors know today? We are unlocking the lost legends of 5 of the rarest, most valuable, and historically significant one-dime coins ever minted in the United States, and once you hear the full story, you will never look at a coin the same way again. Join me on this deep dive to uncover the stories, the mistakes, and the value that could turn an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find. The story of the 1981 dime begins in an era when the United States Mint was striving to maintain the tradition of the Roosevelt dime, first introduced in 1946. This iconic design, bearing the portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, has been in circulation for decades and represents the legacy of a man who led the nation through the Great Depression. And World War II, the 1980 dime, is part of that legacy. And yet it has its own unique place in American numismatic history. Minted at 3 different facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, the 1980 dime is instantly recognizable by its mint mark, or lack thereof. The Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on its dimes until 1980, when they began adding the P Mint mark to the Susan B. Anthony dollar, but not yet to the dime. So the Philadelphia dimes of 1980 bear no mint mark, the Denver Mint marked its coins with a small d, and the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins with the S mint mark. But what makes the 1980 dime so intriguing is not just its place in the Roosevelt series, but the potential for rare varieties and mint errors that drive collectors wild across the nation. Coin roll hunters and collectors sift through thousands of dimes, hoping to discover that one coin with a dramatic off-center, strike a double die obverse, or reverse a broad strike, or even a rare transitional error. The most sought-after 1980 dime varieties include double die obverse examples where the inscriptions like "Liberty in God We Trust" or the date show signs of doubling, which can drastically increase a coin's value to hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Another rarity involves off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned during striking, resulting in a coin that appears dramatically shifted with missing design elements. These can be worth significant premiums, especially when the date remains fully visible. Broad strikes are another popular mint error involving coins struck without the collar that normally holds the coin in place during the striking process. This results in a wider, flatter coin with expanded rims. Planchet errors also captivate collectors, such as the wrong planchet error, where a dime is mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for another denomination. These errors are extremely rare, but when discovered, they become instant highlights of any coin collection. Imagine finding a 1980 dime struck on a copper-cent planchet or even a foreign coin blank. These unusual mistakes tell a story of human error and the complexity of high-speed coin production that has fascinated numismatists for centuries. But the history of the 1980 dime is not limited to errors and varieties alone. Its production numbers and the economic context of the time also matter. In 1980, inflation was high, and the economy was in transition. Coins like the dime remained vital for daily transactions. Yet as silver content had been removed from dimes starting in 1965, the 1980 dime is composed of a clad sandwich of copper and nickel, giving it a silvery appearance without the intrinsic silver value of earlier dimes. Still, condition rarity plays a huge role in modern coin collecting. While circulated 1980 dimes may only be worth face value, high-grade uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch impressive prices. At auction, collectors look for coins with full bands on the torch, a designation that indicates strong details and a crisp strike. Full-band dimes are highly desirable because they show that the dies used to strike the coin were fresh and well-maintained with clear separation in the horizontal bands of the torch. This small detail can make the difference between a coin worth face value and one commanding a premium. The San Francisco proof dimes of 1980 also hold a special place for collectors. Proofs are specially struck with polished dies and planchets to create a mirror-like finish and deep frosted devices. The 1980 S proof dime was included in annual proof sets sold to collectors, and while most are common finding, one in perfect PR70 condition is a challenge. Any minor imperfection can drop its grade and value considerably, so collectors seek out cameo and deep cameo examples, which have strong contrast between the frosted design and the mirrored background. These coins often reside in protective slabs, ensuring their preservation for future generations. Another aspect that cannot be overlooked is the cultural impact of the Roosevelt dime. It is a symbol of a nation recovering from crisis. It commemorates Roosevelt's leadership and his role in founding the March of Dimes, an organization dedicated to fighting polio. The dime itself stands as a daily reminder of how coinage connects us to history. Every time you find a 1980 dime in your change, you hold a piece of that story. But the hunt for rare coins also connects generations. Families pass down coin albums. Children learn the thrill of the search and the satisfaction of discovering a hidden gem in everyday pocket change. The 1980 dime has inspired countless new collectors to begin their journey into numismatics. The story does not end here, though. Because every year new varieties and errors are discovered, coin experts debate the origins of certain anomalies, re-examine old collections, and submit coins for regrading or new attribution. This constant evolution of knowledge keeps the hobby vibrant and the market alive. Prices fluctuate with demand, rarity and condition auctions bring surprises as bidders compete fiercely for the finest known examples, and headlines are made when a seemingly ordinary dime sells for hundreds or thousands of dollars, turning a piece of pocket change into a legendary find. The 1981 dime represents this thrilling possibility. The next time you check your spare change, look closely, examine the date, the mint mark, the details of Roosevelt's profile, and the bands on the torch under magnification. You might be surprised at what you find. Maybe you will discover a double die, a broad strike, or a rare off-center that turns your routine day into a treasure hunt. So keep your eyes open, your magnifier ready, and your mind curious. The history of the 1980 dime is still being written by collectors like you. Every coin tells a story, and your story could be the next great find in the world of rare American coins. Keep searching, keep learning, and remember, the rarest treasures often hide in plain sight, in the jingle of coins in your pocket, in the rolls you get from the bank, and in the history we all share as coin collectors and stewards of the past. That is the legacy of the 1981 dime. And its story continues every time a collector finds that one rare coin that changes everything forever. Elusive 1975 one dime, and how this tiny coin became one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the world of rare American coins. The story of the 1975 one dime begins with the official records of the United States Mint, stating that no Roosevelt dimes bearing the date 1975 were ever released for circulation. This single fact has intrigued collectors for decades and driven countless treasure hunts across America. In the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint was transitioning to new minting technology and design modifications, while maintaining the same classic Roosevelt dime design first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. The design, featuring his left-facing profile on the obverse and a torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, had become an iconic symbol of American coinage by 1975. The Mint had been producing billions of dimes annually, yet the official plan was to skip the 1975 date altogether due to the introduction of the bicentennial quarter-half dollar and dollar coins that required extensive preparation and special minting runs. During this time, the Mint focused its resources on producing bicentennial coinage dated 1776 to 1976 instead of normal dated coins for 1975. As a result, all dimes produced in that period were intended to bear the 1974 or 1976 date with no in-between. However, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and rumors began circulating among collectors that a handful of 1975 Roosevelt dimes might exist. The origin of these rumors traces back to experimental strikes and die testing procedures that sometimes occurred behind closed doors at the mint. In rare cases, pattern coins and test strikes escape destruction, finding their way into private hands through error, theft, or intentional leaks. The mystery of the 1975 one dime is further fueled by the existence of 1975 proof. Roosevelt dimes produced for the annual proof sets. These proof sets were struck at the San Francisco Mint, bearing the S Mint mark and sold directly to collectors. These coins are common and have no rarity, but the whispers persist that a few business strike or circulation quality 1975 dimes might have been struck at the Philadelphia or Denver mints by mistake or for internal testing purposes. Some speculate that they were struck using experimental planchets or unfinished dies and never meant to be released. Yet no authenticated circulation strike 1975 dime has ever surfaced for public auction, fueling the legend even more. The story of this phantom dime is reminiscent of other legendary rarities such as the 1913 Liberty Head nickel or the 1974 aluminum penny coins that were never meant to exist. Yet a few examples slipped through the cracks, and today command millions at auction. Imagine finding a single 1975 one dime in your pocket change, or an old coin jar. The excitement would rival any lottery win because the value of such a coin would be nearly priceless to advanced collectors and museums alike. The intrigue surrounding the 1975 one dime has inspired numerous treasure hunters, metal detector enthusiasts, and roll searchers to comb through countless dimes in hopes of finding the ultimate hidden gem. Stories persist of collectors claiming to have seen or heard about these coins, but without credible authentication or grading by major services like PCGS or NGC, these remain tales lost to time. This brings us to the unique role of error coins and pattern pieces in U.S. numismatic history. Errors have always fascinated collectors because they represent the human element in the mechanical process of coin production, from double dies to off-center strikes to wrong planchet errors. Each mistake tells a story about how a coin came to exist in its unusual form in the case of the 1975 one dime. The mystery is even deeper because its very existence contradicts the mint's official production records. In the mid-1970s, coin collecting was already booming with a surge of interest due to rising silver prices, inflation, and the bicentennial celebration. The mint was under immense pressure to maintain quality and meet demand while also innovating new designs and minting techniques. This environment created fertile ground for unusual errors and test strikes to be produced and sometimes escape into the wild. The lack of official documentation only fuels speculation and collectors' imaginations over the years. Rumors of 1975 dimes have appeared in coin publications, internet forums, and whispered conversations at coin shows, yet no verifiable specimen has ever been shown to the numismatic community. This stands in stark contrast to other legendary rarities that have been documented and photographed multiple times over decades. Some experts believe that if a 1975 one dime exists, it is likely sitting forgotten in a private hoard or lost to history, hidden in a dusty drawer or an old coin collection waiting to be rediscovered. This possibility keeps the legend alive, drawing in new generations of treasure hunters who search through endless rolls of Roosevelt dimes in hopes of finding the elusive date. This is the magic of numismatics, a world where history, mystery, and chance combine to create stories that endure for generations. While some skeptics dismiss the 1975 one dime as pure fantasy, the lessons it teaches us about the history of the U.S. Mint and the possibilities hidden within seemingly ordinary coins are very real. They remind us that each coin in our pocket change carries with it a piece of history, and sometimes that history includes secrets waiting to be uncovered. So next time you handle a Roosevelt dime, take a closer look, check the date, examine the mint mark, and remember the legend of the 1975 one. Dime, a tiny piece of metal that may or may not exist but continues to captivate collectors around the world. And if you ever stumble upon one, you may just hold in your hands one of the greatest numismatic discoveries of the century. The story of the 1975 one dime continues to inspire new research articles, books, and YouTube videos like this one, keeping the spirit of the hunt alive for all who dare to believe that hidden treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places. We invite you to join the community of rare coin enthusiasts who share stories, tips, and discoveries to keep the legend alive. And perhaps one day, someone somewhere will find that elusive 1975 one dime and rewrite numismatic history forever. To a changing era, a rare collector's prize, and a coin that could be worth far more than its face value. Stay with me as we dive deep into the remarkable history, hidden secrets, and untold facts about the 1971 dime coin. You won't believe how powerful this tiny silver piece really is. History shines through the coins we carry in our pockets. Today, we travel back to the year 1970 to uncover the incredible journey of the one dime coin known as the Roosevelt dime, named after President Franklin D. Roosevelt. This coin may appear small, but it carries a heavyweight story of politics, economy, design rarity, and collector interest that continues to grow. Even today, the 1970 Roosevelt dime is part of a proud legacy that began in 1946 following the death of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a president remembered not only for guiding the United States through the Great Depression and World War II, but also for his personal battle with polio, which inspired the March of Dimes campaign in his honor. Congress quickly approved the redesign of the dime to honor his legacy, replacing the Mercury Dime and ushering in a new era of coinage in the United States. The Roosevelt dime was designed by John R. Sinnock, the chief engraver of the United States Mint at the time. The obverse of the coin features the left-facing profile of Roosevelt, his name boldly tied to a coin that would come to represent American resilience and values. Over the years, the design has remained largely unchanged, which only adds to the historical importance of coins from transitional and economically significant years, like 1970. In 1970, the world was changing. The Vietnam War was raging, public trust in government was declining, and the U.S. economy was facing challenges including inflation, rising unemployment, and increasing concerns about fiscal sustainability. Against this backdrop, the U.S. Mint continued producing coins for everyday commerce, but changes in production technology and metal composition were already well underway due to the Coinage Act of 1965, which eliminated silver from the dime and quarter. By 1970, all regular circulation dimes were being made from a clad composition of copper and nickel layered over a solid copper core. The 1970 dime therefore reflects the fully established use of this clad composition. The year marks a period where coin collectors started paying closer attention to strike-quality mint marks and die variations, especially as silver coins began disappearing from circulation due to hoarding and melting. For their metal content, the 1970 dimes were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and in proof form at the San Francisco Mint, with no mint mark indicating Philadelphia, a small D indicating Denver, and an S reserved for proof struck in San Francisco. It's important to know that 1970 is a special year for the Roosevelt dime, not because of any major design changes, but due to the very low number of proofs made, and the surprising varieties and errors that came out of that production. One of the most famous varieties is the 1970 S, no S proof. Roosevelt dime, this is a rare error where the coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint but lacks the S mint mark. This happened because the mint mark was hand-punched into the die, and occasionally a die was released without it. Such errors are rare and extremely valuable, fetching thousands of dollars at auction. Another known variety is the 1970D Roosevelt dime with full bands. This refers to the detail on the torch on the reverse of the coin where the horizontal bands at the top and bottom of the torch are fully struck and show separation. This detail is a sign of a strong die strike and is prized by collectors for its sharpness and clarity, especially since most circulation strike dimes tend to show wear or weak strikes in this area. When evaluating the value of a 1970 dime, collectors look for condition, mint mark rarity, and errors. Coins in uncirculated condition, especially MS65 or higher, are worth significantly more than their face value, while regular circulated 1970 dimes may only be worth 10 cents. Those in high grade or with full bands or rare varieties can bring in premiums ranging from a few dollars to thousands. Depending on the condition and rarity, the production numbers for the 1970 Roosevelt dime also help explain its value. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 345 million dimes. Denver struck around 754 million, while the San Francisco Mint produced only about 2.6 million proof coins. Though these numbers are large in the world of coin collecting, true rarity often comes from how few high-grade or error coins survive, making the 1970s no S proof. Especially desirable among coin hunters and investors, the Roosevelt dime series is often overlooked compared to larger denomination coins like quarters, half dollars, or dollars, but its small size belies its significance. It is one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history and has witnessed major national and global events from the Cold War to the digital age. The 1970 version captures a specific moment in that journey, a time when America was questioning itself, rethinking its priorities, and adjusting its economic policies for a rapidly changing world. The design of the dime has stayed consistent over the decades, with the torch oak branch and olive branch symbolizing liberty, strength, and peace, a message that was especially poignant in 1970. As American citizens grappled with war and protest and change in that context, holding a 1970 dime is like holding a piece of quiet resistance, a sign that despite everything, the nation was still moving forward, producing coins, engaging in commerce, and expressing its ideals through every tiny piece of metal. Another reason the 1970 dime matters is the transition of public attitude toward coin collecting. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, coin collecting began to grow rapidly as a mainstream hobby spurred on by the removal of silver from coinage and the rising awareness of mint errors and varieties. This helped fuel a new generation of collectors, many of whom started with the Dime series because it was accessible, affordable, and rich in historical value. This cultural shift gave more importance to coins like the 1970 dime and made it one of the earlier modern issues to be seriously studied for die characteristics, errors, and varieties. This helped fuel a new generation of collectors, many of whom started with the Dime series because it was accessible, affordable, and rich in historical value. This cultural shift gave more importance to coins like the 1970 dime and made it one of the earlier modern issues to be seriously studied for die characteristics, errors, and mintage patterns. Over time, collectors have also identified multiple die clashes, repunched mint marks, and other unique features. In 1970, dimes each adding layers to the story and driving up interest at coin shows and auctions across the country. Even today, the 1970 dime remains one of the key dates to watch for in rolls, bags, and proof sets because of its potential for hidden treasure. The no S proof in particular remains one of the most valuable and iconic modern dime errors, drawing headlines whenever it appears in a high-grade example at a major auction grading services like PCGS and NGC continue to certify thousands of 1970 dimes each year, and their population reports help collectors and investors track which versions are rarest, which grades are hardest to find, and which coins command the highest prices. If you ever come across a 1970 dime, take a close look, examine the torch, check the mint mark, and consider sending it in for professional grading, especially if it appears sharp, uncirculated, or unusual in any way. This coin may be small, but its story is enormous. The 1970 Roosevelt dime represents the heart of American coinage, a bridge between eras, a witness to change, and a cornerstone of many coin collections across the world. We invite you to look again at your pocket change and to think differently about the power of a simple 10-cent coin to reveal so much about who we are and where we've been. Stay tuned as we explore more coins from America's rich numismatic heritage right here on the channel.